It is almost crazy how much the things have flipped in just a year. Back then, Russia was isolated. Biden was all in for Zelensky, and the war in Ukraine seemed endless. Fast forward, and it is now Zelensky who's stranded, losing support left, right, and center. Trump is clashing with Europe. NATO is backing off, and suddenly there is a push to wrap up the war as soon as possible. The whole narrative has done a complete 180-degree turn. The West, that was once fueling the chaos, is now stepping away, leaving Ukraine in the cold. It is a brutal reality check for Zelensky, who is now scrambling to stay relevant. Even NATO, the biggest cheerleader of this war, is losing interest. Honestly, the ex-NATO chief Stoltenberg must be somewhere shaking his head, realizing that everything he worked for is now crumbling. The war is entering a whole new phase, and Ukraine's future is now looking very weak. NATO's new General Secretary Mark Rutte has suggested that Europe and US should start normalizing the relation with Russia once the war is over. His statements comes right after his meeting with former President Donald Trump at the White House, where discussions focused on efforts to secure a ceasefire between Moscow and Kiev. Trump, known for his pragmatic approach to the Russia-Ukraine war and also some mean tweets and his behavior to Zelensky, has expressed interest in restoring economic ties with Moscow. This idea seems to have the support of Vladimir Putin also, signaling that both sides may get open soon to rebuild their post-relationship. Speaking to the Bloomberg TV on Friday last week, Rutte reflected on the past dealings with Putin while serving as the Dutch Prime Minister, acknowledging Russia's enduring geopolitical presence. He remarked that for long term, Russia is there and it will not go away. If the war stops, it is natural for both Europe and US to gradually restore the normal relations. Now, we all must understand here that this demand is strikingly different from what the former NATO chief Stoltenberg wanted. He wanted an all-out war against Russia. Stoltenberg maintained a firm stance against Putin, emphasizing sustained military support for Ukraine to ensure that peace deal is never backed by anything else. He didn't want any of the key demands of Russia to be heard, leading to more escalation whenever the war on the front line was heated up deliberately by Zelensky's men. And yes, one of the Russia's key demand in the ongoing peace process has been keeping Ukraine's NATO membership off the table. But that has been something that Biden was completely skeptical about. Rutte also confirmed that at least for now, the issue is not the part of the discussion aligning with Moscow's position. However, one must also know that all European leaders are not on board with this proposal of getting easy with Russia again. While Hungary's Viktor Orban and Slovakia's Robert Fico have pushed for a dialogue with Russia, most of the EU leaders continue advocating for hardline stance. Some NATO members, such as France, has even floated the idea of deploying troops to Ukraine to monitor the potential truce. And Russia has fiercely opposed such proposal, warning that any NATO presence without a UN mandate will be considered a legitimate target. Meanwhile, Moscow is also accusing EU of militarizing as soon as possible. Russia has also criticized NATO's former military buildup near its border since Crimea's reunification with Russia, what Moscow says, and the escalation of the Ukraine war in 2022. Trump has long criticized NATO's European members for not meeting the defense spending targets and continues to push for changes in bloc's approach against Russia. Now, with Rutte on his side, it looks like the future of NATO-Russia relations is coming to a full circle. However, how it may happen still remains uncertain. But yes, the conversation is shifting and a new approach is likely to occur very soon.